Hey everybody, it's Paul from Alexander Knife Sharpening. So when I was starting up this one machine, I was getting a little screech. So I wanted to show you guys the recommended maintenance for Tormek on maintaining your machine. Now they say that you should do this once a year. I say, for those of us like me who are a full-time knife sharpener, you have to do this more, in my opinion, than once a year. But they say once a year is the recommended interval. Anytime I hear strange noises or screeching, so when I was starting it up, it would go screech. That's when I take it apart and lubricate it. And it's so simple to do that there's no reason to, to put it off. It does not take long. It's very, very simple. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take off your wheel. And depending on what if you have a newer one, then it's going to have the quick disconnect up here. So you're just going to take that off. And you're going to pull off your wheel. You can put that aside. Then you're going to pull this washer off. You can just kind of lay that down. And what they recommend is just white lithium grease is fine. Any kind of water repellent type of grease is going to be fine for lubricating this. Then now we're going to go to the other side, the hone side, because we need to take the hone off to do this properly. So this comes off. It simply unscrews and pulls right off. I'm going to put that down here with my wheel. So now what you're going to do is down here you'll see this little metal shaft, and that is what's driving this entire system. It's a torque drive. So this is actually the motor shaft right here, and it's applying pressure to this rubber wheel. Now if you ever get some kind of slippage or anything going on this wheel, if it gets glazed over, they say you can take a sandpaper to it a little bit and to clean it up. Mine looks totally fine. This machine's about 3.5 years old. So I'm gonna now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick this up to relieve the pressure on this wheel, and I'm gonna pull the whole shaft straight through, and you'll see it comes right out. Oh, and I'm not sure if you saw it, but something fell off of there, and it's kind of important, so I'm gonna go in and get it. There's a little tiny washer that goes on here, and that's interesting. I've never had that happen before. I might even need to get a light to get that, but I saw it fall in here. Let me see if I can find that. I know it fell right into the machine. Did it fall all the way through? I might even be able to shake it out. There's big, oh, there it is. I see it. It is in there. And that's kind of fortunate that happened, just in case, because I was going to bring this up anyway. This is a part that's really easy to miss, especially if it's covered in grease. I got it. Good. So there's a little tiny, compression washer. You see that? That's on this shaft. So it goes right in here on this shaft. And adds just a little tiny bit of, counter pressure. But when it's all covered with grease, you can sometimes almost not even notice it's there. So I'm going to clean off the old grease off of here. And I just use shop rags to do this. So that's all cleaned off. I'm going to put that down. I'm going to clean the grease off of the old shaft. So I'm just going to, same thing with a shop rag, come in here and get off any old grease. Now the entire shaft does not need to be greased because it only runs in a couple areas. So this fitting up here is this part here, so you can see where it runs. See, there's little wear lines, and then this is the other side. All of this is just sitting in the air inside of the machine spinning, so you don't need to grease this entire shaft. It just needs to be greased here and on the, and these bushings, these head bushings up top here, they should be greased. And these are also replaceable. If they wear out, that you can get these, the bushings. Mine are totally fine. There's no reason at this point to consider replacing them. But I guess after, maybe a really, really long period of time, these might need to be replaced. But these look good. So I just get in there and I kind of wipe them off. I try and get from both sides in case there's any old grease on the inside. And we got most of that off. And then I do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to swing the camera over here. So you can see this side's a little bit cleaner. I'm just going to wipe all that old grease out of that bushing. Now this side's not as easy to get into, as you can see. It's not big and open. It's okay. I'm just going to get in there and just kind of clean out any old stuff that's in there. And I'm pretty happy with that. But we're going to grease up that whole bushing. Alright, so that's good. So now I'm going to come back over to my other side. I'm going to get my white lithium grease out. And I'm gonna grab me a new shop rag. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of that white lithium grease and I'm going to get it all on this bushing, all the way on the top too of this bushing, and inside, but it's going to get inside on the shaft too. But I'm going to do this to the other side as well. I'm going to grease that bushing up all on the face, and inside get some new grease on there. You don't have to go crazy with it. It doesn't need a ton, but you definitely want it on there. Alright, that's pretty good. And now I'm going to grease up my shaft. So on the shaft, like I said before, you'll easily see the areas where it needs it, because it has wear marks where you'll definitely see, like, oh, that's where it rubs. So I get in here and I will put it on. And this is a lot, maybe a little too much. Doesn't need, you don't want tons of it flying all around the inside of the machine. So that's pretty good there. Gonna come down here. I think I just bumped my camera. I'm gonna get this down here, and I'll clean it off the shaft after I push it through. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's greased up pretty well. So is this. I'm just gonna wipe some of this excess. So there's the one washer that goes on the other side. You can grease up the one side of this. You don't need both. You don't need the stone side greased up, but you can grease up the side that's facing the inside of the machine and inside it there, and that will actually help this even stick to it, so when you pull the nut off, that it doesn't come with everything. But that won't go back on until I push the shaft through. Alright, so now I'm ready to do the shaft. So I'm going to take the rubber part that runs the honing wheel. I'm going to move the motor out of the way, and I'm going to try and as much straight through the middle here, push this through, and it will start to line up perfectly. And I'm just going to line that all the way in. Now you might have to lift a little on the far side to get that to go fully in. And now it's, so if it kind of stops, give a little upward pull on the shaft on the opposite side and it'll come right through. And now you will see some of that grease is going to come off on the other side. Now I'm just going to clean that off of the shaft. I don't need it all over this shaft because this is the stone side. And we don't need it getting all in our stone, or if it's a diamond wheel or a CBN wheel, you don't need all that grease inside the wheel at all. There's no reason for it. So you can just clean this right off. Now I'm going to take that nut that I greased up on the one side. You can see my bushing on this side is well lubricated. And now I'm going to just push this through right up against there, and I'm going to, there's a little grease got on the shaft. Just going to wipe that off. Let's spin this around. And that's good. So that's all on there. I can now take my wheel, slide my wheel back on. Wheel is on. Gonna put my quick connect nut on. Now, this is important. Some people miss this sometimes. I've had people who have tried to put this back on and not realized this has holes that you need to align properly. And if this thing's ever running real crazy, it might have been out of alignment when you put it back on. So if you put it on and you kind of spin it around, sorry, I'm doing this with one hand and holding the camera. But if you put this on and spin it around, see that just dropped in? It'll drop into place. And you'll know because you'll see the threads sticking out. And then you can just simply tighten this. And it's ready to go. That's done. It is all lubricated. That is the recommended once-a-year lubrication for the machine. And I just turn it on to make sure it's running fine. Let it stop. Do another turn. And that's good. Not hearing any screeching or any loud noises that I did hear once in a while. And that should be good to go for a while. Like I said, it's a recommended once-a-year maintenance, but for those of us that are sharpeners like me, I actually end up doing this about every 3 months. Alright, hope that's something, help some of you out there. You can see, don't be afraid to take your Tormek apart to do that maintenance. It's very easy. Have a great day.